is Max, and today I want to show you how to make wooden blade using my method, which I think is a lot easier than the style Hugh Piggotts is using in his book. I provide that you already have some knowledge about carving blades to understand the differences in the process. So to show the basic differences, I'm going to show those two profiles. This one here is cut the Piggotts style, and this one here is cut my way. So the basic difference is that Hugh Piggotts in his book approaches the blade shape by cutting from two sides. So if you have a look from the bottom, the leading the lead side of the blade has an angle. So from root to tip you have to take off material on the lee side and also here on the windward side to get the angles right. So using my way, it is a little bit different because I move down all the stations completely down to the bottom of the lee side. Maybe this way it can be seen easier. So now what I do is the highest point of the airfoil at 1/3 station is on the bottom of the blade. So we take the bottom of the wood that we use to carve off the blade as the reference line. Now, where in Hugh Piggotts' blade, on the windward side, we have an even line on the leading edge, a straight line, and this part on my blade, see that? We take off the material. So as I said, we move everything to this side, which spares us to do any cut on this side. Later on, all we need to do is to shape leading and trailing edge. So on the leading edge, all we have to do later is make that round part here. So everything you see in this gap is what is left to carve out on the leading edge, and all you see on this side here now, all the gap here is what is left to carve out on the trailing edge from that highest point of the airfoil, which is on 1/3 of the blade width from the leading edge. So that is not much to take off. So first what we need to do is get some wood. And in my case, this wood has a width of about 6 inches, which is 15 centimeters, and a height of about 4.5 centimeters. You need to make sure that the lee side of the blade is absolutely even. So it's the best way is to use some kind of power planer to get that straight. So after you've done that, you need to choose which way you want to lay it out. So we have some knots and branches in here, and you just have to look where is wood carved off and which way to turn it. For example, here we have some material that knocked out, which is no problem because in my case this one is going to be the leading edge and it will be rounded later on anyhow. So I choose to put it this way. Now what you need to do is mark the stations of reference, and I did this according to Hugh Piggotts' book. The old one, the 2003 version, you can take all the measurements from there. It's 6 stations 20 centimeters each. We mark 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, and I always give some more space, so I take another 2 centimeters here. I make my reference lines. Now, all this part here, I will remove in the next step. What Hugh Piggotts does in his book is, for the trailing edge, he uses let's say interpolated spline line. I don't do this, I take a straight line. In this case, this line will have a length of 6.5 millimeters, so we mark 6.5. Here, and we make a straight line from tip to the root section, which is on the first station, like this. As I suppose that those pencil lines cannot be seen on the video, I highlight them again with my text markers. So, this part will be removed, this will be left. So, okay, now we are at the bend saw, and what we do now is we make 2 cuts, one here and the other one like that. So let's switch it on. Now we have the rough shape of the blade. What we need to do next is take our stations to the sides, as we have to mark things over there, which is fairly easy. Just copy from the top. Side as well. I don't actually use this permanent marker to do this. I have a pencil line here as well. I just make this to get it easier for you to see what I'm doing. So, okay.
We now need to mark the thickness of the blade on the leading edge side.
Okay, so now we have made our thickness line on the leading edge. What we need to do now is get the drop on the trailing edge. The drop here, this is the difference of height from one side of the airfoil to the other on the windward side, which basically gives us that twist. So to make it more clearly, if we have our piece of wood and we have our profile, let's do it like this. So the height difference from here to this, that is our drop. So this is what we need to take out now. Before we did this line here, so on the other side we must make a line like this. And as this is the root section, like this, and the angle of the airfoil will, on the windward side, will get smaller towards the tip, so this line will go up from here, which is what we mark now. So basically what we have to do is take the thickness that is described in the book and subtract the drop on each station and mark it here. Okay, 7. Again, 6, 'What's next? 3, 3 here, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And 2 here as well. So. Okie dokie. One more thing to do. The root section, I will put here a mark of 7.5 centimeters and connect this to the top like this. Zip. Here, zip, because this will be our nice end for the eye. So now we go to the bandsaw and cut off all of this. There is actually no chance to make any mistake because the line here, as you see, is a lot lower on the wood than this one. So even if the bandsaw is not straight, there is no chance of cutting into wood that should be untouched. Now the thickness here on this edge is where it is supposed to be. Now we make our third cut, where we will form the twist of our blade. So here, this will be untouched, and from this line that we've just created, we go down to that line on the other side that we have marked before, using the bandsaw again. So now we are at the bandsaw again. What I have done is I made a little jig, which will give us a guideline, because this line that we've just bandsawed before now will be our reference. So this we want to be untouched. So this jig goes a little bit further than the blade, so that we cannot cut into wood that should be untouched. So what I do now is I start here, I choose the angle, yeah, and I walk along, and when doing that, I increase the angle more and more and more and more and more to get that twist out of the blade. clamp it. Okay. And voila. So, what we have now is basic twist of the profile. So it's roughed out. Now approach close to this line that I've marked before, which is no problem as I have left enough space in advance. So we can use the power planner to make a connecting line between this one here and there. It might be easier when doing this to actually mark this line, this edge, so you will see when you touch it. Opala. Because we don't want to touch this line. And we don't want to touch this line here as well. We just want to remove the material in between. So, with a piece of wood, a leveled wood, you can always check if there are still curves inside, then it's okay. So now I have finished the sanding process on the windward side, which took about 10 minutes in total, but I wanted to spare you watching me doing that all the time. Next is to cut and make everything smooth on the lee side. There is no accuracy needed here. This is just an approximate reference. So on this side, here as well, on the other side. Here to, let's say, here on the leading edge, we make a round now. Yeah, we round off the leading edge and we don't touch this area. Now is the trailing edge nice and smooth. Whatever remains here, I will do by hand. Can you see this? This is what it looks like now. A really nice curve. Quickly done. So now we move on to the leading edge. We want to make it round. We start from this line here to basically make it quite straight up to half of this, of that side here, and then again I take the power planer and not the power planer, the power sander, and round everything, and then do the fine-tuning manually. But first, with this one, we can make a quick start. Whatever is left now will again be done with this machine. Yet, just to show that this is fairly quick work, huh? Just work it out, the round, then you finish the edge, try to give it a, not a sharp angle, but more like this, dump angle, and the remaining, now I would make a little more here, but then I will go back to this one and start sanding manually. But after that, we go to this area that we've marked before. We make a nice round between this one here and this one here, and then everything is finished.